Hey, what's up guys, Arava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2026 Mod Career Mode. This is part number 12 today for the Canadian Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, as we had a very topsy-turvy time at Singapore ever since the new layout came in. Just seems like the AI have that upper hand on myself, especially out of traction zones in a straight line, and all through the race the car just was clearly a lot slower than my teammate's car, and we found out the hard way towards the end there might have been a good reason potentially why the car was actually a lot slower than our teammates the whole time, as we suffered an engine failure, and that was after we had that horrendous race at Spa. So we've had two races back to back where we scored 0 points, and Pierre Gasly has won both of those main races at Spa to Singapore. Not a great vibe. I mean, it's good for the constructors that he's still scoring well. We're still leading in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Red Bull and McLaren. But in the Drivers' Championship, Fernando Alonso, of all people, now has a 10-point advantage over myself and Liam Lawson, who also failed to score at Singapore. Both myself and him have definitely had a rockier time in the last two races compared to us being 1 and 2 at Monza. And Gasly, with 2 wins in a row, now pulls himself into the championship fight, only 3 points off myself and Liam Lawson. So this episode, it may be desperate times. We need to get a hold of this championship, as you know, the feeling is it's kind of almost wobbling away from us, and so much momentum is going towards our teammate. Frustrating times last time out. You know, the energy store was the one that went. You can see we've got some very worn internal combustion engines, so I'm gonna probably have to take a new one here at the Canadian Grand Prix. So that means at least a 5-place penalty for that component change. The rest of them, I think we could be fine till the end of the season. Even the energy store, you know, that's why I was so annoyed and surprised at that being the part that failed in Singapore. That's completely fine. The other two we've got of that component are, like, you know, well under 40% wear. It's just the IC that's causing us troubles, but that wasn't even the one that, you know, went pop. It hasn't gone pop all season. So, yeah, just all round wanting to forget what happened last episode. It would have been an alright fight back, but, you know, it is what it is. The engine failure came, and now we have to deal with it. And we come at least to a circuit now that I've always gone well at. Canada, Montreal, but you can see Ferrari, Alpine both bringing upgrades. Ferrari especially bringing an upgrade that gets them right fully in that pack. But even with that upgrade for Alpine, for Haas as well, sorry, you know, all of them are now, we're all bunched up basically. The only two cars, the only two teams that aren't together in the R&D chart with us all are Andretti and Gulf Williams basically, which is going to be even more intriguing now. Already we were seeing the last 2 episodes, Ferrari, Aston Martin getting in the mixer. Now could we have Haas playing a part, Alpine coming back a little bit? It's going to be interesting, and this is all at a time where I need to bounce back with a good load of points, I feel, against Alonso, against Lawson, against my own teammate. So we're going to try our best, and to be fair, we are looking pretty damn quick around Canada, thankfully, in Q1, going top. Verstappen second place. Pierre Gasly cutting it very fine, and a very big shock for Mercedes, as both of them are knocked out. So their pretty average seasons turned even worse. This episode from the get-go, really. Both Mercs out, but Gasly's a lucky man, only just about scraping through. So I don't know what that was about. A little bit weird, because we are top, obviously very close stuff with Verstappen and others up there as well. But into Q2, let's see how things go. Will there be a bit of a comeback? Because, you know, we've seen in the last few episodes, Gasly's had that extra edge over 1 lap, just pure pace. He's been quicker than us, and then obviously that carries over into the race. At the moment, Schumacher going fast as well. So Ferrari clearly looking quick. He's P1. Lawson P2. Myself 3rd place. Not too bad. But again, Gasly, bottom of the pile. He's, I think, got a lap still to do. I'm going to stay in the garage because I think that's safe enough to get into the top 10. But Gasly down in 16th place, along with Yuki Tsunoda in the quicker Aston Martin these days. And both of them are together on track. Gasly being held up by Tsunoda. So after having won 2 races in a row, Gasly himself not doing himself any favours on building on that momentum as he should be doing, and he's knocked out. And Tsunoda, actually I want to thank him, he's done me a favour there. Tsunoda blocked him on that last lap. Tsunoda got through and he blocked Gasly so much that Gasly's out in P11. So definitely going back, behind the scenes to the Aston Martin garage and giving Yuki a firm handshake for that. But it's Théo Pourchaire going quickest in the Audi, much quicker than his teammate who's knocked out. Sainz is out, Lando Norris is out, and the Red Bull Ford. Alonso only P8, so Red Bull Ford and Alonso obviously getting a grapple of the championship. They both just don't look as quick around this circuit. It is a very different circuit to the last 2 we've had. So, yeah, maybe the advantage will be swinging back towards ourselves here at AAR Lamborghini, maybe McLaren as well. But clearly other teams have really arrived. Aston are up there, Ferrari, Audi, mixing it up. And right now, well, the man who DNF'd out the Grand Prix, who gave us that red flag at Spa, he's in P1, provisional pole position for Max Verstappen. It's been a while since we've seen Verstappen's name at the top of the timesheet, and I think it could be staying there. Things are very close, but I'm not gaining as much time as I wanted to on the second flyer. We've gone second place with that first lap into the last couple of corners, barely making improvements after the purple first sector across the line for only a couple of hundredths of a second, and we're a couple of hundredths off Verstappen, but it didn't matter. In the end, Verstappen went even quicker than he did on that first lap. But Alexander Albon is the surprise. He comes in and bags a pole. Crazy, but very nice to see, though. The 3 of us, the top 3 in the championship, together in line there. 3rd, 4th for Alonso, 5th for Liam Lawson. But it's happened, in a crucial part of the season. Last, 5 races left to go, including this one. You've now got all these other teams and drivers who aren't in the fight getting the poles, getting the front rows. Albon and Verstappen, if they hold that, that's less points on offer for those of us in the championship fight. But the whole context of this is, remember, we took that new internal combustion engine. So even though I've qualified P3, I'm actually sadly not going to be ahead of Alonso and Lawson on the grid. I'll be down in, I think, P8 then. So we will have some work to do. We'll be closer to Gasly than we are to our other rivals. So definitely some work to do. But hopefully I can slice through, and Gasly, to be honest, I still want him to do well for the constructors' sake, but I'm hoping we are not near him on track, because clearly that has been an issue. Spa, clearly. Singapore was also an issue at the start of the race, so hopefully we don't really meet each other on track around here, and I can just get to work to try and maximise this. But who knows? Maybe Aston and Ferrari are going to, and Audi, potentially, if Théo Pourchaire, he's qualified badly here in P10, but if he actually pulls up his socks, maybe all 3 of those different teams could be some big obstacles for those of us in the championship fight. And with that, we go to the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. So it's going to be a clear and dry race, and strategy-wise, well, my engineers have put me on the hard tyres, along with, it seems, Pourchaire and Audi there in P10. Not opposed to this. We've done this before on this game, I think in Season 2, wasn't it? Where we start on the hards, and as long as we can keep up pace, we actually will just be gaining and gaining as we go on through the laps, because as others' tyres wear out, our hards will continue to perform at a decent level, and obviously we just know how good the hard tyres perform anyway with the My Team car on this year's game. So P8, hoping to pick up a few positions, and then it's a waiting game of seeing when others start to struggle with their tyre wear. But we go to 5 red lights. The Canadian Grand Prix is underway. It's lights out. Schumacher gets a great getaway in the Ferrari, but immediately it's deja vu from Singapore. We've been boxed in, this time behind Schumacher. I literally had nowhere to go initially because Ricciardo was on the left. We had Piastri on the right. I'm struggling to get the power down with the heavier fuel loads. The hard tyre is is a bit of a difficult tyre to, you know, light up and switch on, as they say in Formula 1, and get into a working temperature range, but we are going to remain in P8 at least. But there's a bit of shuffling going on, and Piastri's now behind us, Schumacher ahead. Verstappen is the one that leads the way then, so it was a quick start for both Ferraris. Verstappen leads, Albon loses P1 from pole position, he's in second place at least, and Lawson is up to third ahead of Fernando Alonso, because I think they started the other way around, did they not? So yeah, it's not been the best start, we haven't really gained anything, but we've not lost anything either. And our teammate has lost positions. He's down to P13. Gasly is. Norris as well, both behind the Alfa Romeo Haas of Drugovich, showing the Haas car may be a bit of an issue now, you know, depending on where you are on the grid from qualifying, as we see Schumacher make quick work of Daniel Ricciardo, and Ricciardo left confused after that overtake, and he's now got us on the outside. We're going to go to the inside though of Schumacher to try and make it a 2-for-1 pass. Schumacher getting the elbows out though, and we're going to go toe to toe on the traction zone. We just have that better launch off that corner, and we're up into P6. So we made up for lap 1 at least, going on to lap 2 immediately, overtaking 2 of those cars. But the Ferraris definitely do look a bit punchy, and Schumacher, I mean, look at the way he's actually kept up with me through that corner. He's very, very eager to keep up with me, but I'm trying to shake him off and get into the DRS of this man, Yuki Tsunoda. You know, massive aid to us in terms of our teammate spat with Pierre Gasly holding up the Frenchman in quali, and now he doesn't really put up much of a fight to me in this race as we climb up to P5, and we can already immediately then now focus on our 2 championship rivals ahead, Fernando Alonso and Liam Lawson, and we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix whilst we do it. So showing already maybe these hard tyres are the better tyre to be on, even versus the mediums for most of these guys. I don't think anyone's really chosen softs apart from some of those outside the top 10, obviously having not used a set in qualifying, and versus Fernando Alonso using the pure might and speed of the Lamborghini engine, drifting it a little bit through the final 2 corners, but managing to overtake him nonetheless to get up into P4, and that was easy work, to be honest, with the DRS as well. So showing really, I think Red Bull are a bit on the back foot, because on lap 5, we've caught up to Lawson. We're both catching up to Albon, but Alonso's now 1.5 behind us. So the Red Bull Fords really not looking that quick, but now we've got a very surprising shock red flag, and it's because of Felipe Drugovich. Oh, the commentator's curse. I literally, I said how good of a job he was doing earlier, having overtaken our teammate and Norris, but he spun it, and due to all these reversing cars at the hairpin, that is why a red flag has been called out. But very unfortunate timing, because I was just about going to try and overtake Lawson, I think, and that would have been both and all of our championship rivals taken care of. But this is a bit of an annoying red flag, to be honest. This doesn't help us at all, because I started on hards. I'm going to go back onto another set of hard tyres, a fresh set at least, but because I've not changed compound, that means I have to make a pit stop still in this race, whereas others who have swapped to hards might have half a chance of going to the end of the race. I think most people might not go for that option, but if some do, they might have an opportunity to go really long and just try and go for that track position. So here we go then, getting ready to go to 5 red lights once again. Verstappen P1, Albon and Lawson ahead of us, lights out, and away we go for the second time today, and Albon gets the jump on Verstappen maybe. I'm trying to get the jump on Lawson to the inside. We're both side by side here. Verstappen on the outside fending, trying to claw back that P1 from Albon. I've unsuccessfully tried to overtake Lawson there. He just outdid me on that traction. He's on the medium, so no surprise. Initially, he's going to have that better traction, but in a straight line, like Monza, like Spa, you know, when things were going right for us, this car works very well in a straight line, and we're able to try and overtake Lawson. It's getting frosty there. It's getting very close. Lawson braking as late as he could to try and stop me overtaking, and it's held us both up, and now Mick Schumacher's involved. We're going to back out of that. Oh my God. That would have been a disaster. Did you see that contact with Schumacher on the side pod of Lawson. If my car was still in the middle, that would have been maybe a race-ender crash, at least front wing damage. I'm still thankful that we have a front wing, because we still even made just a little bit of contact there with Schumacher on his entry. So Schumacher aggressive as ever, and he gets that position off me, basically scared me out of it, because I'd rather keep my car intact. We're in a championship fight. He's not. He's got nothing to lose. But yeah, meanwhile, our teammate, by the way, Pierre Gasly, still in P12, still not even in the points yet, showing that, yeah, Canada, it's a place you can pass. But now, because with the R&D chart, everything's so close, all the cars he's surrounded by are actually more competitive. It's difficult to overtake. It's not a kind of, a given. And he's fighting Tsunoda, a car that is fighting for P1, P2 right now in the hands of Albon. So it's not easy, really. And you've got the quick Audi ahead of Pourchaire attacking the Red Bull. And now we're seeing Piastri have a go at Fernando Alonso. Alonso doing well to defend, but Piastri looks the quicker man. Red Bull Ford just don't look like they have a lot of race pace here around Montreal. Lando's down in P12, and Alonso is just slowly drifting back and back and back as we see the two Audis fighting each other. Sainz versus Pourchaire. It's the F2 driver versus the more senior man, as we have a second go at Liam Lawson. Can we get it right this time? We're on the inside again, but the difference is Lawson has no chance to outbrake us that time, and we finally get that overtake done on that second McLaren for today, and we're up into P4. But I want to get that third place back, because we were fighting Lawson for P3, not P4. Schumacher occupies that right now, but look at how much he's struggling. We've only been on these tyres for a few laps, and he's losing the back end. I've lost the back end, though. On the curb, though, I lost the grip on the exit curb, kind of lifting off for Schumacher. So Lawson's actually re-overtaken me, but I'm actually not too worried about that. Didn't put up a fight against Lawson that much for a reason. I know I can just re-overtake him here. I know these tyres, clearly by the way Schumacher's rear end was, I already know that we're on the better race tyre. The only question mark for me as we overtake Lawson and we go for the move on Schumacher, get to the apex first and get up into that third place. Yeah, the only question for me is those people that have gone onto hards, that weren't on hards before, i.e. Oscar Piastri. He's one of the people that chose hards off that red flag. Like I said, he's got the chance to go all the way to the end. He doesn't need to make a pit stop to switch compounds. So keep an eye on Piastri. He's just made 2 overtakes. He's up to P5. It's because Schumacher's slow. Oh, the German was fighting so hard. And in the end of it, none of it mattered, because the Ferrari has gone up in smoke. Schumacher out the Grand Prix, whilst his teammate on lap 19 is dominating this Canadian Grand Prix. I'm sure Verstappen, though, will be nervous about his reliability in that instance. Albon still P2, we're P3, then the 2 McLarens, then Fernando Alonso, all alone in P6. He doesn't have enough pace to keep up with the McLarens, but has too much pace to not be a threat by the Audis. Speaking of, Pourchaire, I think that is in. No, Sainz is in, and Gasly is in with him behind. So Gasly pulling the trigger early. He actually, I didn't notice, he chose the softs off the red flag. Very interesting. So he's on to mediums. Of course, he had a new set of softs, actually, having been knocked out in Q2. So he's pit onto medium tyres. Verstappen and Albon, they've now come in on lap 22. So quite a lot of this second stint's gone by. Not too much happening for us, apart from just trying to keep up a steady pace, take these tyres as long as we can, and we go a further 4 laps on these hard tyres. In those 4 laps, since lap 22, Verstappen's pit, and he's actually repassed Piastri. Piastri's yet to pit, and I don't think he is going to pit, because he's going to the end on hards. Albon will probably catch him, but Piastri might actually have a chance of getting ahead of Lawson, because Lawson did make a pit stop. So Piastri playing a bit of a gamble, going so long on hards, and it could work out for him. He could actually end up being ahead of his teammate, as we are now in, though, on lap 26 for that mandatory pit stop that we definitely have to make to not be disqualified in this race. And we've chosen the softs. I've taken the hards long enough where I can use this set of soft tyres, and it's a new set. I actually held back a set of soft tyres on purpose in Q3, knowing that I might need them in this race to help me out because of that 5-place penalty. And at the moment, this is working out in our favour in terms of lap 27. We've got 8 laps to go. Yes, I'm behind Lawson, I'm behind Albon, Piastri, but I think we can definitely catch Lawson, maybe even the next 2 laps, really, with how quick this soft is going to be versus the hard compounded tyre. And then, depending on how much Piastri holds up Albon, I actually think it could be realistic that we could be aiming as high as P2 in this race. Meanwhile, though, Gasly behind me, having made an earlier stop, he's undercut a few people, he's got good pace, he's just overtaken Tsunoda, and all of a sudden, my nerves get a bit higher because now Gasly's directly behind me, although I'm on a quicker tyre and fresher tyres, so hopefully he won't actually bother us today as we see Albon overtake Piastri. Okay, Piastri did not hold him up as much as I think, so maybe Albon might be out of the question, but I think we can definitely get the 2 McLarens. We'll get Lawson pretty darn soon, and then Piastri's going to be on such worn hard tyres. Minimum, we're going to get back to that P3 where we were in already before the second round of pit stops, basically. But there's a lot of fighting going on behind myself and Gasly as Alonso is looking to climb back up to P8. And to be fair, Red Bull look a little bit better now. I mean, you know, Norris is in the top 10 now. Alonso P8, though, from where he was, you know, P3 at one point in this race. Just definitely not as strong as they were in Singapore and Spa. Oh, my God! Fernando Alonso spun it, and Lando Norris has crashed into Tsunoda as he had to stamp on the brake pedal to stop himself going into Alonso. But it's a calamity. It's an implosion by Fernando Alonso and Red Bull Ford. Alonso's down to P17. Norris without a front wing, but remember, Alonso's leading the championship. But there's a safety car. There's a safety car as well. This is amazing for us. Hang on a minute. This is incredible. We've just seen the championship leader spin it. He's down to P17. I'm on the softs, much fresher soft tyres, new soft tyres, compared to Lawson, Piastri, Albon, Verstappen on hard tyres that have been through a couple of laps. For Piastri, a whole stint. And now, a safety car has just bunched us all up. I could win this race from here. If this safety car comes in this lap or the next one, we've got a 4-lap sprint, and I'm the only one on softs. What? A second red flag in the middle of a safety car period. I have never seen that. I didn't even know that was possible. How do you get a red flag in the middle of a safety car? And now that's changed everything again, because now everyone will get a free pit stop, and it's because of this, under the safety car, there's been a massive crash between a Williams and an Andretti car of Sergio Perez. It's Hulkenberg in the Williams. I think what's happened there is Hulkenberg was basically retiring, because you can see he cut the corner, his car looks a bit disheveled, and Perez is driven into his path, going so slowly, but both of them take each other out. And that is why we've got a red flag coming out in the middle of a safety car. I'm still quite surprised by that. I didn't think that was even possible as a mechanic, but fair play. But that's ruined everything. Well, not ruined everything, because Fernando Alonso is still all the way down in P17 out the point. So, you know, I need to overtake Lawson, and then I'll be gaining points on all of my championship rivals. But the problem is now, you know, I was going to be able to go for the win under that safety car. Now, everyone has a chance to probably switch on to a set of soft tyres, because we'll only have 3 laps left of this race. It's going to be a 3-lap sprint, so everyone's going to choose soft. So our advantage has gone a little bit, but we do have another 5 red lights, so it's another chance to maybe jump someone. Hopefully Lawson, who's going to be the car nearest to us in P4, just ahead of us. But yeah, so it went from one extreme to another. We can still at least get a podium. I think the win now is maybe out of shot unless we get a worldly getaway. I mean, I guess let's find out. Let's find out. This has certainly turned into a very dramatic Canadian Grand Prix, because with 3 laps to go, nothing is a given as we go to 5 red lights for one last time in this race. Verstappen P1, Albon, Piastri, Lawson ahead of us as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for a 3-lap sprint, and it's a shocking getaway for Verstappen. Albon is going to lead this race into turn 1. We make contact with Piastri as we were 3 wide into that turn. I'm trying so hard to get up the position, but Piastri gets the elbow out, and there goes Pierre Gasly. Where's he come from? What on earth? Our teammate has showed up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden is P5, but he was making it 3 wide with me and Verstappen. That's crazy. Where on earth did he come from? I thought he was like down. Well, actually, to be fair, he was actually right behind us, wasn't he? But I just didn't see that coming. I was too focused on the McLaren. So it's Albon that leads the way then for Aston Martin Honda. Piastri P2, Lawson 3, and Gasly now is having a go at me. Absolutely not. You are not overtaking me now, okay? I've worked hard to get back up to this position. I still think I can get these McLarens, but you are not overtaking me, Gasly. Absolutely not. Lawson, he's looking a bit feisty, you know. He's moving about a little bit in the brake zone. I think he reckons... Oh, no! Oh, no. Oh, my God. That is so... Verstappen was dominating this entire race, and now he's not even going to get points because he's broken his front wing and he's pit on lap 33, ironically, as we make a move on Piastri. What did I say? Lawson fancied overtaking Piastri. I could just tell Lawson was in a punchy mood. He knows what's at stake as he's put a car between myself and him, but we've quickly dispatched of that car immediately. His own teammate, who's not looking too great on these softs, and we're up to 3rd place again. But can we get more? Can we get 2nd place? As meanwhile, we see onto lap 34, Pierre Gasly making a move on Piastri. The Audi of Sainz close behind. Gasly will get up into P4. You know what this is for Gasly? You know, having been knocked out in Q2, this is just great damage limitation for Pierre Gasly. You know, he's maybe not been on the same pace he has been the last 2 races. I was kind of banking on that. You know, thankfully, it's actually worked out that, you know, Canada's definitely my track. It's a stronger track for me than my teammates typically. But it's damage limitation for him. And for Lawson, well, he doesn't really even put up much of a fight, to be honest there. He doesn't really move about at all, because I think he knew just the closing speed I had there, and he's just kind of admitted defeat there, as we're up into P2 then, so we will outscore Alonso by a lot, because he's down in P16. We'll outscore Lawson by 3, maybe even +1 for the fastest lap. We'll outscore Gasly, so this is going to end up being a very successful Canadian Grand Prix for us. It's not the win that I would have liked to have got, you know, under that safety car, but the red flag changed that. But to be honest, Alexander Albon somehow winning this race for Aston Martin Honda is incredible, and it's even more incredible that both Ferraris are going to score 0 points after at one point both of them were in the top 4, or top 3 actually rather. Yeah, they were 1-3 at one point. That is crazy. Crazy. Yeah, Ferrari can't catch a break. Verstappen was leading that race for the majority of these laps, but it's going to be Albon ahead of me in P1 here that is looking to take the win. I've tried my hardest, by the way, on this last lap. I've been pushing like an absolute stabbed rat trying to catch up to Albon and setting another fast lap of the Grand Prix probably whilst we do it. We're within 1 second, but just not close enough on this lap to have DRS there. Otherwise, we may have had half a chance. But it'll be Alexander Albon that takes the win. We'll take home a decent P2.
Aston Martin deserved a win today, and they got it. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I want to know if that was as easy as it looked. An absolute masterclass today.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's Grand Prix. And there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result. It's Aston Martin on the top step.
Alexander Albon, a different winner here in this season. And remember at the start of the season, we were saying Aston Martin really fell off a little bit. You know, Fernando Alonso left them for Red Bull this season. And they definitely were looking weaker. But now they've got a really quick car and their drivers are performing. You know, Tsunoda got that really decent top 5, I think, recently. And now Albon's won a race. Aston Martin actually looked good again. I think in terms of the constructors, I think they'll be looking good after this win. But for us, P2 here is mega. I think we'll take the championship back again because Alonso failed to score. Unbelievable, though, for Ferrari. Schumacher out with an engine failure. Verstappen bottled it himself off P1 on that final 5 red lights. But then I think getting squeezed by myself and Gasly, just a bit of racing incident in that situation where he broke his front wing. Yeah, we're leading the way. We're leading the way by 4 points to Lawson. Alonso is now 9 points back from me, and Gasly is 10 points away from me. So it's still bloody close. There are 10 points between the 4 of us at the top of this Drivers' Championship. Constructors-wise, we still lead ahead of McLaren, which is good, but McLaren definitely looked a little bit stronger this episode, so, you know, we're coming to a few other circuits, which, yeah, well, we're going to have to see, really. It's kind of just, you know, as it comes of which circuit's going to benefit which car, McLaren, Red Bull, ourselves. But look at that, Aston Martin, they were being pressurized by Ferrari. Now they've got a bit of breathing room in P4. Ferrari's still, though, maintaining ahead of Alpine, and it's really, if you look at it, the biggest loser from last season to this season is really Mercedes. They've signed Leclerc, but their cars only got slower relative, or their performances have got worse, because they're P8. They're behind Audi as well, and Audi only just came into the sport with Sauber, so that's crazy, really. But yeah, in the end of it, very chaotic and dramatic Canadian Grand Prix, going left and right in terms of the outlook of the race. I really thought, you know, Verstappen was nailed on for the win, but it wasn't meant to be. And for us, we maximised what we could, really, of the situation and outscored all our rivals. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula One content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.